In a bustling airport where the hum of engines and the chatter of passengers filled the air, Adam, an experienced pilot, was preparing for what he thought would be a routine flight. Little did he know, the day would unfold into a tale of chaos, desperation, and regret. As the final boarding call echoed through the terminal, a woman, her breath short and panicked, sprinted towards the gate. Her desperation was obvious. Her flight was about to leave, the last link to an urgent meeting that she could not afford to miss. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. As she reached the gate, the doors closed with a definitive thud. She had missed her boarding call. The woman, driven by a mix of desperation and determination, did the unthinkable. Ignoring the shouts of airport staff and onlookers, she burst through an emergency exit and onto the runway. Her target was the plane, now slowly taxiing away, its engines roaring in preparation for takeoff. Adam, the pilot, couldn't believe his eyes. Through the cockpit windows, he saw a figure darting across the tarmac, her arms waving frantically. She looked familiar. Where did he see her before? He had dealt with unruly passengers, bad weather, and technical snags, but this was a first. A passenger having missed her boarding call was now risking her life. Everyone on board was also in danger, all just so she could catch the plane. The control tower buzzed with frantic communication. They were trying to resolve the situation swiftly and safely. Adam knew he had to act. Halting the massive aircraft, he watched as security personnel sprinted towards the woman. The expressions on the guards were a mix of concern and disbelief, but eventually they stopped in their tracks. They couldn't pursue her anymore. That meant that the woman would be running straight into danger, but Adam had no idea that he would have to step in himself. From the moment he could remember, Adam Hansen had always been fascinated by the sky. As a young boy, he spent countless hours on his father's lap, gazing upwards. He was marveling at the birds gliding effortlessly above. Unlike his peers, whose ambitions were firmly rooted on the ground, Adam's eyes were always drawn to the boundless, inviting expanse of the pale blue sky on a clear summer day. It was as if the heavens themselves were calling out to him, whispering promises of endless horizons and adventures yet to come. Adam's parents quickly recognized their son's burgeoning passion for aviation. They saw the spark of determination in his eyes, the kind that told them this was more than just a fleeting childhood fancy. So, they nurtured his dream with unwavering support and encouragement. Every birthday brought a new aviation-themed gift. He got toy airplanes that he would send soaring through the air, a pilot's cap that he wore with pride, and books about the greatest pilots in history, which he devoured hungrily. Each gift served to fuel Adam's passion even further, setting him on a path from which there was no turning back. The day Adam graduated high school marked a significant milestone in his journey. With a diploma in hand, he stood at the threshold of realizing his dreams. He had no doubts about what he wanted to do next. While his classmates pondered their futures, contemplating various colleges and career paths, Adam's vision was crystal clear. He enrolled at the prestigious Aeronav Academy, a place where he could transform his childhood dreams into reality. At Aeronav Academy, Adam thrived. Surrounded by like-minded individuals, each with their own aspirations of taking to the skies, he felt right at home. The rigorous training and coursework were challenging, but Adam faced each obstacle with determination and grit. He spent countless hours in flight simulators, mastering the controls of various aircraft and studying the intricate dance of air currents and weather patterns. The thrill of his first solo flight was indescribable. The moment the wheels left the ground, Adam knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was born to fly. As the years at the academy passed, Adam honed his skills, becoming one of the top students in his class. His instructors admired his dedication and natural aptitude for flying. It wasn't just about piloting an aircraft for Adam. It was about understanding the very essence of flight, the delicate balance between man and machine, defying gravity itself. Upon graduation, Adam was offered a position at a prestigious airline. It was the culmination of years of hard work and dedication, a dream come true. As he donned his pilot's uniform for the first time, he couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought him to this moment. From a wide-eyed boy dreaming of the skies to a confident pilot, ready to take command of a commercial airliner, Adam had come a long way. Adam's career as a pilot was marked by countless takeoffs and landings, destinations spanning the globe, and the smiles of thousands of passengers who trusted him to carry them safely through the heavens. Yet, no matter how many flights he piloted, the magic of flight never faded for Adam. He was reminded each time he looked out of the cockpit window at the vast open sky. He remembered the young boy on his father's lap, dreaming of soaring with the birds. And so, Adam flew, not just as a job, but as a testament to the power of dreams. For him, the sky was not the limit, but the beginning of a lifelong adventure, a canvas on which he painted his destiny. Each flight was a chapter in his story, a story of passion, perseverance, and the unwavering belief that if you set your sights high enough, there's no limit to how far you can go. Unfortunately for Adam, he had no idea that his limit would be tested in a way like no other. It started out like a normal day. Adam was used to the hustle and bustle of the airport. He still would never get used to the way people looked at him when he walked through the airport in his pilot's uniform. He felt respected, but he was unaware that one person would show him disrespect in the worst way. Adam headed for the front desk to check in, but there was a woman next to the front desk who had a look in her eye. When most people smiled at him, the woman showed disdain. Adam checked in and started walking away, but that's when she decided to open her mouth. The woman was about to be fiercely rude. It was apparent that she didn't like pilots, but the truth behind it would be unsettling, to say the least. "Can I help you with anything, ma'am?" Adam had asked, his tone gentle, hoping to ease whatever burden she carried. The response was immediate and harsh, a torrent of accusations and vitriol aimed at him, at pilots, at the very essence of flying. She accused them of being careless and of not understanding the fear and discomfort that passengers like her experienced. Her words were sharp, each one laden with a hatred that seemed bottomless. "You think you're so important, don't you? Just because you fly people from one place to another," she spat out with venom in her voice. Adam, taken aback by the unwarranted hostility, tried to respond with professionalism. "I'm sorry you feel that way. Is there anything specific that's bothering you?" Her eyes flickered with a mixture of anger and deep sorrow. "You pilots play with lives every day, taking for granted the skies and the lives you carry." Adam sensed there was more to her anger than a simple dislike for pilots. "I assure you, we take our responsibilities very seriously. The safety of our passengers is our top priority." The woman's face softened slightly, but the pain in her eyes was palpable. "My sister was on a flight that crashed last year. They said it was pilot error." The weight of her words hung heavily between them. Adam's heart sank. He understood now. Her disdain was justified. "I am truly sorry," Adam said, his voice gentle. "I can't imagine what you must be going through, but please know that not all flights end like that." Adam continued, "We learn and improve from every incident, no matter how small, to ensure it doesn't happen again." Adam, always the professional, had approached her initially with the intention of helping. He had noticed her agitated state from across the room, her gaze locked onto the tarmac, where planes danced their intricate ballet of arrivals and departures. Something about her demeanor spoke of more than just the common anxieties of travel. It was a look he had come to recognize in his years of flying, a mix of fear, anger, and desperation. Adam tried his best to be understanding and offer reassurance and explanations. He spoke of the rigorous training pilots undergo and the countless safety measures in place. He explained his dedication to passenger comfort and security, yet his words seemed to bounce off an invisible wall she had erected around herself. The woman's anger was a fortress, impenetrable and unyielding. "Why are you flying if you hate pilots and planes so much?" Adam finally asked, his professionalism slipping in the face of her relentless hostility. It was a question born of frustration, perhaps not the wisest, but honest in its intent. He was genuinely curious, but he should have chosen his words more carefully. "I have to go see family, and it's none of your business what I do, pilot," she snapped back, her voice cold. The emphasis on pilot was deliberate, a term of scorn rather than respect. Adam felt a twinge of anger, a heat rising in his chest. It would have been easy to snap back, to let his own frustrations boil over, but he knew that would solve nothing. The woman was in pain, her anger a mask for something deeper, something frightened and vulnerable. Taking a deep breath, Adam chose his next words with care. "I understand traveling can be stressful, especially if you're dealing with personal matters." He continued, "I can't imagine what you're going through, but I want you to know that we, as pilots, do care. We're not just here to fly a plane, we're here to ensure you reach your loved ones safely." The woman's face softened slightly, the lines of anger smoothing out as if his words had reached a part of her she had closed off. She didn't apologize, didn't offer any words of gratitude, but the shift in her demeanor was apology enough. She simply nodded, turned away, and continued her business at the front desk. Adam turned and headed for the plane, a sigh escaping his lips. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a step. He couldn't erase her fear or her anger, but perhaps he had planted a seed of trust, a reminder that behind the uniform and the cockpit door, pilots were people too. They were guided not just by the instruments before them, but by a genuine care for their passengers' well-being. But he didn't know that this wasn't the last he would see of her. As he returned to his duties, Adam carried with him a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that for every passenger like the woman he had just spoken to, there were hundreds more who trusted him implicitly, who saw in him not just a pilot, but a guardian of the skies. It was a heavy responsibility, but one he bore with pride, flying not just as a job, but as a testament to the dreams of a wide-eyed boy who once gazed up at the sky, dreaming of soaring with the birds. He had another hour before he would have to sit in the pilot's seat. Adam took pride in his work and loved to get familiar with his plane and his crew for the flight. He headed to the faculty lounge and introduced himself to everyone. He had flown a few times with some of the flight attendants, but for the most part, there were brand new faces. His co-pilot Roger was one of these brand new faces. He had never seen Roger before because he was a brand new pilot. It was good having new blood, but Adam knew that there would be nervous jitters, ones that could be extremely detrimental. Adam approached Roger first, offering a firm handshake and a warm smile. "Welcome aboard, Roger. Looking forward to flying with you today," he said, trying to make his new co-pilot feel at ease. Roger returned the handshake, albeit a bit nervously. "Thank you, Captain. I've heard a lot about you. It's an honor to be flying with you," he replied, his voice betraying the butterflies in his stomach. Seeing the apprehension in Roger's eyes, Adam decided to spend some extra time with him, going over the flight plan and discussing various scenarios they might encounter. It was crucial to build trust and confidence, especially in such a high-stakes environment. As they sat in the cockpit, they went over the controls and discussed the nuances of the aircraft. Adam noticed Roger starting to relax. Adam shared stories from his early days as a pilot, including some of his mistakes. He hoped to convey that it's okay to be nervous and that everyone starts somewhere. The time to take off quickly approached, and the rest of the crew had efficiently prepared the cabin. Adam could sense a slight tension in the air, a mixture of excitement and anticipation. He made a final announcement to the passengers, his voice calm and reassuring, before turning to Roger with a nod. "Ready to take off?" he asked. Roger took a deep breath, nodded, and replied, "Ready, Captain." But as the plane started taking off, they heard the control tower urgently conveying a message. There was a problem. One woman was late for her flight, but she wouldn't give up there. She had pushed her way onto the runway and was running towards the plane, having no idea she was heading straight into danger. Most people had no idea how strong the turbine engines on a passenger airplane were. If someone didn't stop her, there would be a tragedy. For the first time, Adam saw the woman out of his cockpit viewport. The woman running after the plane was the very same one from the desk earlier. He couldn't believe it. Roger, having no experience piloting a normal domestic flight, had already started the plane. The engines were powered up and deadly. Adam knew he had to do something. Without hesitation, Adam grabbed the radio handset. "Tower, this is Flight 227. We have a situation." They continued. "There's a woman on the runway, directly on our path. We need to abort takeoff immediately." The security guards stationed along the tarmac had also seen it. For a moment, they hesitated, rooted to the spot in disbelief. Their training had prepared them for many eventualities, but this was beyond their wildest imaginations. They knew something that the frantic woman running towards the moving plane did not. There were more dangers than just the plane itself. Beyond the runway lay a construction site, a zone of exposed pits and heavy machinery, hidden from her view by temporary barriers. Adam's heart raced as the reality of the situation dawned on him. The woman, driven by desperation, was unaware of the imminent danger just beyond the runway. The security guards, understanding the peril, refused to chase her into the hazard zone. It was a standoff, with the woman's life hanging in the balance. Without hesitation, Adam knew he had to intervene. With the plane gaining speed, Every second counted. Reaching for the brake, he was acutely aware of the risks. Stopping a plane at full takeoff speed was a dangerous maneuver, fraught with potential for disaster. The aircraft was not designed for abrupt halts, and the stress could easily result in a catastrophic failure. As he applied the brakes, the plane responded with a resistance that felt like the very air was pushing back. A groaning noise filled the cockpit, a sound of mechanical protest that made Adam's heart sink. The entire plane shuddered, a physical manifestation of the desperate gamble he was taking. Passengers, unaware of the unfolding drama, were jolted from their pre-flight routines by the sudden deceleration. A collective gasp filled the cabin, a mix of confusion and fear as everyone braced against the unexpected. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the plane came to a halt. Mere meters ahead, the hidden dangers of the construction site loomed, a silent testament to what could have been a tragedy. Adam sat, momentarily stunned, as the reality of their narrow escape settled in. Roger, sensing the urgency in Adam's voice, instinctively began the abort procedure, cutting the engine's power while ensuring the aircraft remained under control. The sudden deceleration pushed everyone forward in their seats, a jolt of alarm spreading through the cabin. Outside, the woman, driven by a mix of fear and desperation, realized the imminent danger. The roaring engines, now winding down, signaled her narrow escape from disaster. She stopped mere meters away from the aircraft, her chest heaving, tears streaming down her face as the reality of her actions sank in. Adam quickly relayed instructions to call for security and medical assistance, ensuring the woman would be safely escorted off the runway and provided with any necessary care. Meanwhile, Roger maintained his composure, following Adam's lead and helping to manage the situation with a calmness that belied his limited experience. Once the plane was safely back at the gate and the woman was being taken care of, Adam and Roger had a moment to reflect on what had just occurred. "That was too close," Roger whispered, still trying to process the intensity of the moment. Adam placed a reassuring hand on Roger's shoulder. "You did well today. Not many pilots can say they've faced something like this on their first domestic flight. It's a reminder of the unpredictable nature of our job and the importance of teamwork and quick thinking." The incident became a defining moment in both their careers. For Roger, it was a baptism by fire, an experience that taught him more than any simulator ever could. For Adam, it reinforced his commitment to safety and his responsibility as a captain to protect not only his passengers and crew, but also those on the ground. The woman, her desperate run halted by the sudden stop of the plane, was quickly escorted away by the security team, now rushing to ensure her safety. The passengers, shaken but unharmed, murmured among themselves, a buzz of speculation and relief filling the air. Adam's thoughts lingered on the woman. He didn't know her story, but he understood the weight of the choices we make. In the sky, where he felt most at home, every decision was magnified, every action scrutinized. It was a domain where safety was the paramount creed. It was a lesson he had learned early on, from his days as an eager student at the Aeronav Academy to the countless hours logged in the cockpit. Adam hoped that the woman would realize the severity of her actions. The best-case scenario would see her facing a hefty fine, a monetary reminder of the boundaries one shouldn't cross. However, the law wasn't always lenient, and she could very well find herself serving jail time for endangering the lives of others. It was a harsh reality, but one that Adam believed was necessary. The sky was unforgiving, and the ground, by extension, demanded respect. Adam, his hands still gripping the controls, took a deep breath. The decision to stop the plane, made in a fraction of a second, had averted a catastrophe. It was a stark reminder of the weight of responsibility he carried, a testament to the unpredictability of human actions and the thin line between routine and chaos. As the plane was inspected and eventually cleared for takeoff, Adam reflected on the incident. It was the first time he had seen something so absurd. It was a reminder of the unforeseen challenges that life could throw, a story of desperation, quick thinking, and the delicate balance between risk and safety. It was a day that would remain etched in his memory, a day when disaster was averted by the slimmest of margins. As for Flight 227, it eventually took off again, its passengers and crew a little shaken but safe, thanks to the quick actions of a dedicated pilot and his co-pilot. The skies were clear and the flight uneventful, For everyone on board, the journey was a poignant reminder of the fragile line between routine and chaos. The passengers were shaken, but they understood why Adam and Roger did what they had done. After weeks, Adam still thought about the incident. The airport had put better security measures in place to ensure that no one could force their way onto the runway. As Adam walked through the airport, one of the faculty members waved him over. "What's up?" he asked. The bright-eyed woman behind the counter told him what happened on the ground after he had left those weeks ago. Apparently, the woman's name was Jessica. Jessica had been taken to the airport's holding cell, where police were called. She was escorted off of the premises in handcuffs. Jessica's anger towards airports had boiled over. This meant that she had finally been banned from flying. Being on the no-fly list meant that Jessica could no longer cause any incidents or hurt anyone with her prejudice. It meant Adam could breathe easily.